Welcome, folks. I am JABY KOAY, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We're discussing Dune. This will be a non-spoiler review. We got to watch it early in IMAX, and the very first thing I want to tell you is you gotta watch this in IMAX.
Yes, absolutely.
It is the optimal way to view this film. In fact, the theater where we watched it is apparently where Denis Villeneuve mastered the IMAX version of the film. We had center seats. Man, it was awesome. There are a few different kinds of IMAX that I'm aware of. There's a slightly taller IMAX, which is how I believe Avengers Endgame was shown in IMAX theaters, but then there's like full IMAX, which takes up the entire IMAX frame, and that's how Dune is shown for a large portion of the film. So please, if you get a chance, watch this in IMAX. It is the best way to watch the film.
It's gorgeous.
But this is directed by Denis Villeneuve. It's written by John Spates, Denis Villeneuve. I am so not confident about the name. It is starring Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Stellan Skarsgård, and Josh Brolin, as well as a whole host of other people.
Oh my God, I just realized, the whole time we were watching the movie, I'm watching Baron that's played by Stellan Skarsgård, and I was just like, he looks really familiar.
Oh, I knew it was him.
But I just couldn't remember his name. And so now I'm just like, oh, okay.
It was kind of blowing my mind how many Marvel actors are in this film. Warner Brothers asked me like what I felt about the movie. Every time they ask me how I feel about the movie, I'm always honest. Always honest. I always get afraid because I'm like, is this going to be the time they stop inviting me to the screenings because I'm too honest? I said, Dune is a fantastic and beautiful science fiction with a perfect haunting and moving score, a lived-in universe, stunning visual effects, and remarkable performances. Definitely one of the best films of 2021 and easily one of my favorite sci-fi films to date. A must-see in IMAX. Can't wait to watch it again. And the first thing I asked ACHARA at the end of it was, do you think this film is for everybody? Do you think like the general audience is going to get this? I feel like it honors the Dune legacy and totally one-ups it completely. But have you seen the original Dune?
I have not seen the original Dune.
I did when I was a kid, and this bests my memory of that movie. Because sometimes you watch a movie that's like a remake, like Total Recall or something, you're like, oh, the original's better, even if you hadn't seen the original in 20 years. I haven't seen the original in a long time, but this, for me, feels like the superior film by far.
I didn't have anything to draw from in regards of watching the original, like the first movies. I haven't seen any of that. I haven't read the books, but I did go ahead and get the graphic novel by recommendation of someone here in the comments. He was like, you could just read the graphic novel. I was like, perfect. I love a good graphic novel. And I read it. I thought they did a really great job of just kind of bringing it all to life. It definitely helped to kind of know a little bit of the backstory going in because I was more comfortable with, some of the concepts and the lore, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary.
I didn't read that and I felt fine watching. I mean, there were some things that were nuanced that I feel like you maybe got a better grasp of than me.
Yeah.
With the dialogue, there were some instances I couldn't understand what was being said, and I think that's just part of the movie theater experience because at home you have the convenience of subtitles if you need it. It didn't matter because kind of like what Christopher Nolan aims for in his films, the visual presentation is so strong that even if the movie was silent, you'd still know what was going on. The movie is not silent. It has got a very, very vibrant soundtrack, and that is probably my favorite thing about this movie. All across the board, the film is fantastic, but the score is the thing that was like the coolest. And it's like, I want to buy that right now and listen to it again and again and again, because it's like the way people describe like the Green Knight soundtrack, that's how I felt about this. It's like, it's haunting. It gives it that atmosphere. Like you said, it's like a character unto itself.
Yeah, it is, because it really drives the story forward. It helps us as an audience understand what's going on. Each of the different houses has their own sound, like the different planets and all that. It was just stunning and like otherworldly.
One of the things I really like about Denis Villeneuve. Okay, one of the things I love about this guy is that when he does visual effects, he does it right for the most part. Like, I thought about my experience with Arrival, and most of the shots in there look photo-real. There are instances where it's like, I can tell it's VFX. Most of the time, I'm like, this looks great. Here in Dune, there wasn't a single moment, maybe like one small instance. For the most part, there wasn't a single moment where I could tell it was visual effects.
Yeah, I had to look really hard, because there was a point where I was watching it and going, hey, let me see if I can like really look hard and see if it's visual effects. And like I kind of had to pull myself out of the movie a little bit just to be able to recognize it. But I really couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about it as well is the way he's built the world, the different kind of races and nationalities and the planets, the costumes, the music and the setting.
Yeah.
You get so absorbed in the world and it's so interesting.
There's very little I can fault this movie over. The main thing that sticks out to me that I did not like was the fight scenes, because for how beautiful that this is shot, for how beautiful the cinematography is, it's painfully beautiful. It's so gorgeous. Fight scenes were kind of atrocious in the way that they were shot, and that's coming from someone who has studied a lot of fight scenes, who has made fight scenes himself, and I think you kind of mentioned that a little bit as well. Whenever there was fight scenes happening, it's like I could tell that a lot of time was invested in making these fights stellar.
Yeah.
The coverage of the fight scenes, the way it's shot, it's like I couldn't really appreciate what was happening. And especially coming off of the heels of watching Squid episode 9. Squid Game episode 9. Come on, there are better ways to shoot this stuff that really help with facilitating the storytelling of the fight scene.
Right.
And I felt like that was the one spot where the film failed me. And there was like one little plot thing that was like, what? Why did that happen? But outside of that, the film is perfect for me. Like, it was perfect between the acting, the directing, the music, everything. It was like, this is such a cinematic experience.
Yeah, 100%. I know that this movie will be available on HBO Max at the same time as the cinema release, right? But I really do feel that this is a cinematic experience that is worth heading out of your home and going to the movies for, and definitely, if there is a proper IMAX near you, to watch it in IMAX, because it's like the whole experience was amazing. It's a long film as well, but I didn't feel the runtime.
I got scared of it ending too soon, actually.
Yeah, I wanted more.
Yeah.
At the end, I was like, oh, but the adventure's just beginning.
The main villain in this story is designed in such a way that he is gross, but in the coolest way possible. It kind of reminds me of like villains from old Sega Genesis games that I played that were like fantasy sci-fi based, that were just like these kind of gross, big, fat creatures that had like superpowers and stuff like that. His presence is so strong. Stellan Skarsgård does a fantastic job as the villain in this film. He just embodies that gross, intimidating presence.
Yeah, the greed and the prosthetics and the way he looks and everything. It's just like,
Yeah.
You know?
The design of this character was perfect, and the way he embodied the character himself was great. He looked gross, he acted gross, he just embodies bad in all the best ways possible.
Yeah.
You know?
I really liked that. And I loved the attention to detail that they were paying to just all of the different races that were being portrayed in the film. It really felt like you were being immersed in other cultures. I love that they were using different languages.
Back to what you were saying a second ago, in the middle of watching the film, I was like, is this going to be available on streaming? And I'm like, there's no way that streaming is the way to watch this movie, at least not right now.
One of my good friends is so excited about this film. He's got 2 small children and he's just like, I don't think I'll ever leave the house to go watch a movie. And I just want to be like, dude, this is the one.
Yeah.
This is the one you hire a babysitter for and you go out and watch the film.
You can't get that experience at home, whether it's just being immersed in that huge screen or experiencing it with the audience that way. It's like you have to experience it in theaters. Like, this is one of the best cinematic experiences that I've had in a long time.
I think some of my favorite IMAX scenes were just of them being in outer space and how beautiful it looked, or like when they landed on the planet and then the sound that just kind of like vibrates through your bones as you're watching it. It's amazing.
I was not a fan of Blade Runner 2049. Like, that was one of the longest film experiences I can recall. I'm like, damn, this movie's so long. I mean, I can see that it's beautiful, but it's so long. And here, what helped this movie a lot was the music. It could have been like a film that felt slow, but the music was so powerful and so rich, so strong, that it just brought you into the atmosphere.
Well, I would even say that, yes, it's partly the music as well, but I think it's also the story, because it's so layered and there's so much intrigue. It's basically about politics and kind of the dirty stuff, backstabbing and stuff that goes on. Like, if you enjoyed Game of Thrones, this is basically Game of Thrones in outer space.
Somehow Denis Villeneuve made political intrigue so compelling to watch.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, it's harrowing, like it's like, oh, where are the enemies? What's going on? It's just so interesting. And then the characters are interesting as well.
Yeah, I thought the cast was stellar. This is my first experience, my first real experience with Timothée Chalamet, and I thought he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson was wonderful. Zendaya, I can't say anything about my feelings about her performance yet. In my spoiler review of the film, I'll tell you more. Oscar Isaac did a great job. Jason Momoa. I was worried about Jason Momoa because it seemed like from the trailer that he was sort of out of place in this film for me. But then when I watched him in the context of the movie, I'm like, oh, this works. I still think he's hitting Timothée Chalamet a lot. But he's like, hey, yeah, good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. You're like, oh, you'll be all right. It's just a dream, buddy. And so, you know what I mean? He kept tapping him. I'm like, that's a lot, dude.
It's the character.
But outside of that, I thought he was actually a great addition to the film. I wish he kept his beard the whole time. But outside of that, I thought he was a great addition to the film. He actually made me feel things. Okay, I don't know that Jason Momoa has ever made me feel things ever, except for when he died in Game of Thrones.
He made me feel things in Game of Thrones, and he made me feel things in Aquaman. Oh, well, maybe that was his mom and dad.
Yeah,
you got to give credit where credit's due.
I thought Josh Brolin was a fantastic part of this film as well, and Dave Bautista, just honorable shout out. He's a villain in this film. He doesn't do a heck of a lot, but what he does is strong. Dave Bautista just has a presence about him. I mean, it was the same thing in Spectre. He's great for that, for the heavy. He's just
because of his physical, his physicality.
Yeah, exactly. We could go on and on about this, but I'll save the rest for the spoiler review if and when we do that. Again, I strongly recommend this. I strongly recommend it as a theater-going experience, and furthermore, as the IMAX theater experience. Please, please, please watch this in IMAX. It's the best way to watch this film, and it's the only way I plan to watch it in theaters is in IMAX. So you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let us know your feelings in the comments below if you got a chance to watch Dune at the time of watching this video. And that's it for now. I'm JABY KOAY. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.